This is Performance Anxiety in Athletes by Landon Guy. Introduction. So what is performance anxiety? The APA Dictionary of Psychology states, performance anxiety is the apprehension and fear of the consequences of being unable to perform a task or of performing it at a level that will raise expectations of even better task achievement. So who does it affect? According to WebMD author Heidi Marks, she says, millions of people suffer from performance anxiety, commonly called stage fright. Athletes, musicians, actors, and public speakers often get performance anxiety. Performance anxiety can happen with anyone in a high-pressure situation. This pressure and anxiety challenges courage as it did in Simone Biles in The Most Human Meaning of Courage. As Marcus Thompson states, but what Biles did was look right in the face of the foe we all know well and don't like to acknowledge, reality. Biles demonstrated performance anxiety in the Olympics and succumbed to the pressure. Biles faced a tremendous amount of stress and panic after failing and allowed performance anxiety to creep in, thus leading to her dropping out of the Olympics. So what is this graph displayed here? Here's displayed the Yerkes-Dodson law bell curve. So what does it mean? According to a Healthline article medically reviewed by PhD Marnie A. White, the Yerkes-Dodson law bell curve is a model of the relationship between stress and task performance. It proposes that you reach your peak level performance with an intermediate level of stress or arousal. Too little or too much arousal results in poorer performance. The left side of the curve represents low arousal or stress. The right side of the curve represents high arousal, and at the center is a medium level of arousal. So what primarily causes performance anxiety? Pressure from fans causes performance anxiety. An author from Psychology Educator who gives insight on common mental health issues says, fans can have some obvious and tangible effects on the game, especially particularly loud or aggressive fans. Through distraction, an athlete can lose touch with the game. Losing focus is detrimental to an athlete. According to the Sacramento Natural Dentistry, difficulties in focusing can significantly interfere with your ability to excel at work or school or even perform other essential tasks. These difficulties are caused by the fans' distractions and pressure. So what else leads to performance anxiety? Furthermore, the stress of winning leads to performance anxiety in athletes. High-pressure games create troubling thoughts. As the University of Plymouth best puts it, professional athletes are often in the center of demanding situations, whether it is at a match that determines a champion, penalty kicks, playing at the center court in one of the most prestigious tennis tournaments. In such cases where the task is complicated, staying focused, sticking to the plan of action, coordinating complicated body movements, playing in front of a large and loud crowd, the stress can get in the way and distract us from focusing and reaching optimal performance. The combination of worries of perfection creates an overwhelming amount of anxiety and a decrease in an athlete's performance. Games can bring about clutch moments, which is defined by dictionary.com as a high-pressure moment that can determine the outcome of a game. An athlete that has a set goal of winning during clutch moments. However, these moments can cause an athlete to overthink and allow performance anxiety to affect the outcome of the game. An athlete's set goals before and during competition can create disappointment and increase performance anxiety. To support, an author from Men's Life Australia who specializes in men's mental health says, disappointment is the negative emotion you feel when an outcome doesn't match up to your expectations. Characterized by feelings of stress, loss, anger, and frustration, disappointment is an unavoidable part of life. So what is the opposing view? The other side may argue that athletes actually thrive under pressure. As the University of Wollongong states, when some athletes are faced with a high-pressure situation, they thrive on it and view it as a challenge. Some examples of these athletes are Tom Brady or Michael Jordan, who have had numerous times of performing well under pressure. So what's the error in this claim? There are some errors in this claim, however. This claim only targets trained professionals. However, new athletes who are not accustomed to pressure falter in this situation. One can thrive or die. Most professionals thrive whilst under pressure, whilst most newcomers dive in their performance under stress. This is depicted in the Yerkes-Dodson law bell curve displayed earlier. Conclusion. To conclude, performance anxiety is caused by the pressure from fans and the worry of winning or performing up to par. A root cause of performance anxiety is pressure, which is directly associated with both topics. So what can be done to combat performance anxiety? According to David L. Rowland from the NIH, he says, adapting to pressure, performing under pressure, facilitative anxiety interpretation, and countering negative self-talk, one is able to conquer performance anxiety. These strategies can lead to a more fun experience when playing sports. Thank you, and here's my feedback.
Terrific. Thanks, Landon. Could you detach, and then I'll ask you your two questions. So for the first one, what evidence did you gather as part of your research that you ended up not using, and why didn't you use it?
Some evidence that I found was how performance anxiety affects public speakers. However, my research question was focused on how it affects athletes, so I chose not to include it because it could kind of stray the audience into thinking that it's irrational.
Okay, terrific. And then a follow-up to that, put your conclusions in conversation with the body of literature. You can just pick one of your sources, but who would you say was the closest aligned with your conclusions?
I'd say my conclusion that was performance anxiety is rootly caused by stress and leads to a decrease in one's performance. I'd say that was very similar to the stimulus materials and demonstrated by Simone Biles when she experienced that performance anxiety in the Olympics and failed multiple trials and vaults and thus dropped out of the Olympics.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.